Okay, how's everybody doing out there? This is Duane Fletcher, Fletcher Community Media. I write action novels. I used to do documentary films, but now I do action novels. Took some of the same material and reciprocated it. Fox Hunt talks about somebody tried to sell a power company here in Jacksonville. Allegedly, it's because of the influence of the new Chinese solar panel people that came to town. This is still going on because the FBI has just unsealed their indictments, and I think they said like the new CEO of JEA, he could be facing up to 25 years for his involvement in trying to sell the power company. Good thing they didn't, because in Texas, a lot of people in Texas almost froze to death in northern Texas because somebody sold their power company, privatized it, and they were cut off from the national grid, and they didn't have any backup power. Okay, so it's a good thing that nobody even sold that. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. I was instrumental and writing, documenting, and writing this stuff down, and talking about it at the city council. I think the only thing that I said that they didn't get charged with was Corrupt Foreign Practices Act, the Corrupt Foreign Practices Act of 1974, where basically you get in trouble for lying about stuff like that for some foreign competitor. So Dance of the Mongoose talks about a conspiracy theory that the original coronavirus was released as part of a prison break for some Chinese spies on trial in Canada. Okay, talks about the events going up to the first lockdowns and the first quarantines that happened all over the world. Also, Codename Lionfish talks about a Chinese spy they caught on the base right here in Jacksonville. They caught a lieutenant in the Navy who was supposed to be showing his troops, his Navy SEALs and his recon students, how to use like this new top secret equipment, but he was buying it and selling it to China. He was buying it for himself and selling it to China. I got some new stuff coming out now. It's going to talk about stuff that's going on overseas. Going to talk about Jacksonville in relation to what's going on in the Ukraine war, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, very unjust war that's going on right now. And the first thing I want to bring up is, if you get a chance to talk, blurb.com, Duane Fletcher on blurb.com, DuaneFletcher, Duane Fletcher on blurb.com. Okay, and that's where you get access to the books. I got some new stuff coming out real soon. It's going to talk about what's going on in Jacksonville, what's going on in Ukraine, stuff like that. Now, what I want to talk about right here, because I take notes about a lot of this different stuff, and President Zelensky of the Ukraine has recently called out Jacksonville for its ties to Russia. Okay, let's see. President Zelensky calls out Jacksonville. Okay, let's look at the story here. But if you get a chance to look this up, President Zelensky calls out Jacksonville for its ties to Russia. It's all over the news here. It's all over the news. Everybody's got a news story. Channel 4's got a news story. Let's see. Action News 30, which is what I normally watch. Action News 30 has a news story. And they talk about this. It talks about the war in the Ukraine. It talks about, it's all over the news here. And basically what he said was that Jacksonville has a sister city status, with Murmansk, Russia. Some kind of way Jacksonville has a sister city status with Murmansk, Russia. And he's up in arms about it, because I would imagine it's because they're playing with him. Because I know what goes on here. I know what goes on here in Jacksonville, where basically they lie for this Russian dude. And the news reporters went in and asked them about they went to City Hall and asked them what was going on.
Okay, I just saw this on the
The news reporters went in and asked him what was going on. Well, basically, I took a picture of it the last time I was at City Hall for one of the city council meetings. I sit in on a lot of city council meetings and bring up a lot of stuff like this. And I've been talking about this stuff since about 2014 because the Russians chopped up some black kid named Duane Martin. And I ended up bumping into his brother one day who told me the whole story. And let's see. So basically, they have a sister city status listed in the lobby at City Hall. As you can see, the Korean flag is shown. The let's see, Brazil, South Africa, China, Argentina, France, South Africa. However, the Russian flag is not shown. And the reporters brought this up. He said, well, what happened to the Russian flag? And they're like, I don't know. So I don't know if this is what happened, but it alludes to basically they tried to hide it. They tried to hide the Russian flag. And they talked to a bunch of civilians about it and said, well, some of the people like, well, I don't support the Ukraine war. I mean, Russia's completely in the wrong. We don't support that. But you can't blame everybody for it. They were saying all this kind of stuff like that. One guy was like saying they need to box it up and send it back to Russia and tell them they're cutting their ties. That's what I agree with. Because you got to turn this off. Because if you don't turn it off, it's going to lead to a global World War III nuclear war. So you got to turn it off where you can. Where you can turn this stuff off, you have to. So it looks like I said, they've got this sister set. They have this is the lobby, and they have this relationship with them. And they hid the Russian flag from everybody, and which is weird. And I was wondering myself, well, why would they do something like that? And like I said, I know what's going on in Jacksonville, and they lie. They will lie to you like real bad and stuff. They'll lie to you real bad about what's going on. And I noticed it because I've been paying attention to this stuff for a long time, since 2014, because these two Russian guys, they chopped up this guy. They chopped him up into little pieces, and they buried his body in down near oh man, what's the name of that town? They buried his body just past Green Cove Springs. Just past Green Cove Springs, they buried his body in the woods. The police caught him immediately. His name was Duane Martin. And, some people thought this stuff was funny, and they thought it was cute and it was funny, but the police picked him up real quick because I think they was threatening some cops here too at the same time or whatever. And they picked him up. So I've been talking about this stuff since 2014, off and on at the city council meetings, about some of the stuff that was going on, basically I want to talk about some of the Russian activity, because see, what I can tell you is that, even though there's that kind of stuff going on, you can count on, if Mr. President Zelensky is listening, or one of his supporters is listening, you can definitely count on Duane Fletcher at Fletcher Community Media to write a bunch of this stuff down and basically bring it up at city council meetings and make action novels out of it, because that's what I do. This was what I've already been doing for the last umpteen years up until right now, when he called out Jacksonville. So he wasn't just talking about Jacksonville, he was talking about Chicago, Albany, and San Diego having this sister city status with Russia, and basically some kind of way it probably funnels money back to them. I think it's got to do with some like business deals or whatever, backroom business deals. But the people in Jacksonville, they lie for these guys. I'm surprised the cops caught them, because the cops didn't want to play that game with them. Well, the cops, we don't like Duane and blah 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 blah. That name reminds us of the FBI in New York, and blah blah blah. The cops was not finna play that game with him and arrested him real quick. So, but I can tell you what's going on in Jacksonville. They have car insurance scams where the Russians will hit you with a car and try and drain your insurance money like a vampire. Then they also have an operation that bears false witness. They bear false witness big time, all the time. They have entire operations where they go around and bear false witness to stuff. Now, if you talk about it in intelligence terms, it's called agent provocateur, and agent of influence. Agent provocateur pretends to be you, and then he does or says something provocative on social media or out in public, and then the agent of influence witnesses this. They work in teams. The agent of influence witnesses it and makes a big deal about it and calls the cops or something like that. And they do this to start fake investigations to harass people, and to send, basically they send the cops on wild goose chases. Some of the police are in on it, some of the police are not. But also what they do is they use this to beef up their numbers. You know, they pretend that they're in danger and that they need to call in extra help. Oh my God, we're in danger. We need to call in extra help. And then they also bring in equipment that's illegal stingray equipment. But if you basically download one of these apps, if you can download an app to basically let you know if there's someone using illegal stingray equipment on you. They do a lot of illegal monitoring where they pretend to be the feds or they pretend to be the cops, and they gotta watch you and stuff like that. They do a lot of this stuff. They probably got a whole entire office here somewhere that does this. They got a whole entire office that just monitors their little bugs that they've planted in different places and stuff like that. I would not be surprised. Now, if he can't get you himself, with one of these little plots, what they do is he's going to ask one of the Irish Americans, one of the French Americans, or one of the Jewish Americans that he's in business with or something like that to lie on you, or to get their guys to lie on you about something. And they lie all day. They'll look right at you, and then they'll say you're somebody else doing something else over here. They'll look right at you over here, but they'll say that you're this other guy right here, over here. They lie constantly. And now also they do a lot of gremlin stuff. Now the gremlin stuff that they do is basically like, if the Russian guy gets a flat tire, he's gonna come flat your tire. So that he can put you in that mind frame, you know. Or if a kid smacks a baseball through his window, he's gonna come burst your window to like wipe his problems on you through some kind of psychological osmosis and wipe his problems on you. They do this stuff constantly. Now, United Nations also brought up something. United Nations brought this up recently, whereas they was talking about the women that have been kidnapped and forcibly evacuated to Russia. Apparently, Russia has captured and kidnapped and forcibly evacuated thousands of Ukrainian women and young girls. Not to mention the other children that are also involved that have also been abducted. I can tell you right where they're at. This is to the United Nations. Basically, the Russian mafia has them. They're going to be forced into prostitution and forced on the drugs, into their drug networks and stuff like that. You got to weaponize Interpol. You got to weaponize the FBI. You got to weaponize MI6. You got to weaponize Scotland Yard, if that can be done, against the Russians. Okay, you have to, because if you don't, then you're never going to find them. And that's what just has to be done. You got to seek it out instead of waiting for the file to land on your desk. And you know, there's a big problem with Interpol anyway. And maybe if Interpol is weaponized, they'll stop lying for the Russians. Senator Bob Menendez and Senator Mitt Romney are talking about investigating Interpol right now, because Interpol has a bad reputation for lying for the Russians and helping them hide stuff. And so let's see. That's about it. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to start talking about something else here. Also, I would say to President Zelensky, you need to be wary of. I'm going to tell you, they got a lot of people here, and you have to be wary of people that saying they're coming to help. A lot of people might say that they're trying to help Ukraine, but a lot of them have been with the Russians up until this point. But now it's on the table, and Russia's the bad guy. Russia's the bad guy now, so they're saying they're helping, but they might not be helping. So be careful who comes over there saying that they're coming to help and stuff like that. Be careful. Be very careful of them. And I want to say that President Zelensky, if you're listening, like I said, you can count on Fletcher Community Media to write some of this stuff down, document it, and talk about it at city council meetings, because that's what I've already been doing. Since 2014. Okay. Now, let's see. We're going to change the subject a little bit. We're going to talk about tennis. Now, okay, let's see. We talked about this a while ago on one of the last podcasts, but let's see. Novak Djokovic. Okay, this guy right here. Novak Djokovic, the Joker. He's the guy that started all the controversy at the Australian Open, where basically he didn't want to take the vaccine. The Australians got mad with him. They quarantined him when he came anyway. And then they kicked him out of the country because he was saying, well, he has some type of vaccine company that studies herd immunity, but it looks like it's some kind of front or whatever. Basically he's like, well, let me come anyway. I'll give you the virus and then we can study it. And, herd immunity has to do with hoping that the survivors build up an immune to it. And, the Australia didn't want to gamble with him like that any further. Australia didn't want to gamble with him like that any further. But anyway, he was shut out of Mexico. He was shut out of Australia. He was shut out of Miami. He was shut out of Indian Wells. And he was shut out of all of these different opens for months. So finally, France, who was his sponsor, one of the French companies called Lacoste. Let's see. Lacoste, French sponsor. Let's see. Lacoste. Lacoste is a company that makes like active wear for like the tennis players and stuff like that. They sponsor Novak Djokovic and the Russian guy who's number one now, Medvedev. So France finally let him back in Monte Carlo, but he was cold. So he lost in Monte Carlo. Then he lost in Serbia. He lost his own Open in Serbia. He lost to Carlito. Djokovic versus Carlito Alvarez. So finally, okay, after he lost to Carlito in Spain. He ended up winning in Italy. Italian Open 2022. So he finally ended up coming back and winning the Italian Open. Now, when he won, it was weird. Okay, and I think it probably freaked some people out because the night before he won, there was this long-awaited blood moon. There was a blood moon that weekend. Let's see. I think it hadn't been a blood moon. It not only was this blood moon super moon, but it was an eclipse at the same time. It's a blood moon super moon, and an eclipse at the same time. And I think this hadn't happened in like a couple of 100 years or maybe 1,000 years or something like that. And the next day, the Djokovic was he beat the Greek guy because they were playing in Rome. He beat the Greek guy 6-0. 6-0 in the first set. And people were saying he was transformed. And so maybe he was transformed into a werewolf or whatever. And some kind of daywalker or whatever, if you believe in that kind of stuff. And the thing is that people were shocked. It was like, oh my goodness. These are world-class players, and for one of them to get beat like that 6-0 in the first set was like it's an astronomical number against the odds for something like that to happen. If you bet against it, it would never happen. You say, you know what, he's gonna beat this guy 6-0 I'm gonna bet $1,000 that you will lose. Okay, so some people were saying he was transformed, which was weird. Now, this is big time Greek mythology. Big time Greek mythology. There's King Lycan. Let's see. King Lycan versus Zeus. There's King Lycan. King Lycan of Arcadia. He thought that he was smarter than the gods. So one night he served Zeus some human meat, human flesh at a banquet, and Zeus got mad and turned him into a werewolf and said, from now on you got to explain yourself. Every morning when there's a full moon, the next morning you're gonna wake up with blood all over your mouth and feathers, and you got to explain to this guy, what are you doing naked in this guy's chicken coop with blood and feathers all over your face? Okay, so that was his curse. So that's big time Greek mythology, not only in Greece but also in France. It's big time mythology in France also. So the next open was the let's see here, French Open 2022. The next open was the open in France. Now let's see. Now he didn't make it to the final in France because he ended up coming against Rafa. Now Rafa Nadal is one of the guys from Spain. And let's see. Rafa Nadal versus Novak Djokovic 2022 Spain. Rafa Nadal French Open 2022 versus Novak Djokovic. So he ended up playing against Rafa Nadal. So, that's Rafa Nadal. He's from Spain, and they met in the quarterfinals at the French Open, and Rafa was serving up some silver bullets. He was bam, 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 and he ended up beating him. It came down to the last match. Like if you're tied together. In the last, and it comes to the end and you got the same amount of points, there's no 30 love, 40 love. There's only what they call a shootout. And basically in the shootout, Rafa Nadal beat him. They only go to 7. They only go to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoever gets to 7 first wins. So Rafa Nadal beat him in the shootout. And that's probably why he was bam. Rafa did not give up. He was serving up some silver bullets. He came back off his ankle injury and his foot injury real good. And he beat Novak Djokovic. So there's this like little osmosis in the air, like Rafa slayed the werewolf. Rafa slayed the werewolf. And you know, that's what happened. So, but this is like big time Greek mythology and it's big time folklore in France. And, you know, if you ask me, basically, the French crowd, even though they had been supporting him thus far, and they had been supporting Novak Djokovic because his sponsor, Lacoste, which is a big clothing company, they were supporting him thus far. They turned on him because he kept throwing temper tantrums out there. So the crowd turned on him and Rafa ended up beating him. So Rafa slayed the werewolf. All right, so now, also, let's see, what's going on with the Boston Celtics? The Boston Celtics is losing right now. Golden State's beating them. You know, if I had to pick one of these two guys to win, I would have to side with Golden State right now. I would have to side with Golden State. I would think that Golden State is going to win. At first, it didn't seem that they was hungry enough. But Golden State is they shining through, and you know, they've turned on the afterburners. They were tied 2-2, and now it's 2-3 with Golden State in the lead. So I'm gonna think that I'm gonna say, if I had to bet some money, I'm gonna say Golden State's gonna win this one. You add to their trophies that they already have. Now let's talk about crypto crashing. The cryptocurrencies are crashing right now. The cryptocurrencies are crashing, and if you pay attention to this Coinbase, basically one of the people at Coinbase, the CEO at Coinbase said that he might file bankruptcy, and that your money, if it's still there, he might have to use it to pay the government. Okay, so he's let everybody know that's what could happen. So if that's what's going to happen, you need to get your money out. I took my money out about 2-3 weeks ago. I took my money out of Coinbase 2-3 weeks ago when he first said it. And I know they get a bad rap for playing with people on the phone. They've been accused of keeping money, giving people to run around on the computer, giving people to run around on the phone. There's all kind of investigators investigating them for that. There's all kind of lawsuits. But he did say it himself, and if he tells you he's going to file bankruptcy, you need to take your money out. Buy some regular stock. It's a great buying opportunity because the stock market's in a slump, so the prices are down. So it's a great buying opportunity for you to take that money out of crypto and buy some regular normal stock that's going to be there because they make an actual product. Now we're going to do like a little brief movie review here. A brief little movie review and talk about Top Gun. Now, Top Gun, the new Top Gun that's out. I'm a big fan of Tom Cruise. First of all, I like the Mission Impossible franchise. I like the Top Gun franchise, and this new movie that's out is breaking all kind of records. I would suggest that you go see it, look at it for yourself. But there's like some underlying stuff here that I know that a lot of other people don't know. That's kind of needs to be discussed. It's an elephant in the room. Now, first of all, what I want to talk about is Val Kilmer's neck injury, because that's kind of weird looking. It almost looks like there's been like some kind of like vampire or something just feeding off of him for years or whatever. And I'm hoping that he can get past that because he has throat cancer. And I had a guy at my grandmother's church. There was a guy at my grandmother's church. He had throat cancer and lung cancer from smoking, and he stopped smoking and he started drinking smoothies. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, smoothie. And he began to eventually replace the sclerosed tissue with new tissue from the smoothies he was drinking, and he beat a stage 4 cancer. So for those of you who know people with cancer, if you're listening in, you need to start drinking smoothies. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner to replace that dead tissue with new tissue, and that's how that works. Also, there's something else that's weird. That this F-18 that Maverick flies in, the F-18 that Maverick flies in this Top Gun movie, it's not the people that make that F-18 are not doing as well as the movie. They've recently been kicked out of a lot of or lost a lot of fighter jet competitions, and they're having problems selling the plane. And a lot of people speculate on why is this and stuff like that. And but it's interesting, and that's a whole nother argument within itself. But the people that make that F-18, they're not doing as well as the franchise movie. Where they're breaking all these kind of records and stuff like that. I think they're going to eventually be phased out over the next couple of years, but they don't want to be phased out because they're still entering the plane itself into fighter jet competitions, but they're going to be phased out. Whether they like it or not, they're going to eventually be replaced by like a F-35 or F-22, which is made by a different company or something like that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Like I said, there's a whole nother argument. I don't even want to get into that right now because I'm limited on time. I want to condense this down in about 30 minutes, and it looks like I did so. But I got footage here. Let's see if I can bring this up and show it to you before it happens here. Okay, this guy right here. But this is if you get a chance to look this up, and this is going further talking about Novak Djokovic. This is a clip on YouTube of Andy Roddick talking about Djokovic, and he says that Djokovic he said they were talking about his injuries, and they said he's got a bad back, he's got bad ankles, he's got a bad shoulder, and he has bird flu, and he has SARS, and he has swine flu, and he has monkeypox. And they were joking about this, but it looks like there's some underlying factors here that they have basically accused him of being a professional carrier of these these exotic diseases that mysteriously come out and attack people and stuff like that. So if you get a chance to look that up too. But also, Fletcher Community Media, blurb.com, Duane Fletcher, Fletcher Community Media. If you get a chance to, Fletcher Community Media, blurb.com, DuaneFletcher, and buy some books. Thank you.